has been feeling like summer over the last few days, but today's going to be a little different for us if you're by the lake, as we'll see that lake breeze keeping some of us a little bit cooler. But even with that, the summer-like heat is going to be sticking around, not just through today, but also as we continue through the week. And we're going to be staying pretty dry during this time, but as the system, as we start, is going to start bringing some rain this weekend, also going to bring a little bit cooler weather. But let's start here. We have a high pressure system, pretty robust one right now, making its way is off to the northeast near the Hudson Bay, but it is going to be bringing those easterly winds, and it's going to be coming off the Lake Superior. So we'll be seeing a bit of a change in our weather, especially if you're by the lake. Let's start with those winds. They're going to be pretty gusty. Even for areas inland into northern Minnesota, we'll be seeing those gusts getting up to 20 miles per hour or more at times. But if you're around Lake Superior, especially around the western head of Lake Superior, seeing some of the gusts possibly getting 25 to 30 miles per hour at times. So it's going to be pretty blustery. And this is why we do have the small craft advisory. Waves can get up to 5 feet or more, especially again in the western half of Lake Superior. And we can see beach hazards there are also in place, as we can see some riptides along with these waves. So something to just be cautious of if you do plan on being by the lake today. And if you do, it's going to be really nice with those waves. And it's going to be a little bit cooler too. Notice here, temperatures into the 60s for coastal communities, especially along the North Shore going into the Twin Ports. Once you're further inland though, the summer heat is not moving anywhere. Look at this, we're still seeing 70s, even 80s once you're in areas, especially northwest Wisconsin and off to the northwest away from the lake and really the influence of Lake Superior. So even though some of us will be feeling cooler, the summer heat is still going to be trying to stick around. And we're going to all be feeling that heat as we coming up, because you'll notice as we pull forward the coming days, that lake breeze is going to subside, while the southerly flow we're going to be having is still going to be ramping on up. It's still going to continue bringing that warm air out of the south and southwest, allowing temperatures to really swell. Looking here on Friday, we're looking at those temperatures getting into the 80s for many of us, potentially even upper 80s, kind of like we saw in northwest Wisconsin yesterday. So we're talking 20 to 25 degrees above the seasonal average. Once again, as we get towards the end of the week, Thursday's looking similarly warm, maybe even Saturday too. It is going to be overall a really warm period ahead, possibly record breaking here. So summer really is not looking to let go at all, even as we're entering October. And if you look at our forecast radar, the thing is, you'll notice is we're going to be staying mostly dry. However, we're going to have a lot of cloud cover. As you can see here on for today, the clouds are going to be making its way in due to a system well off to our south, and maybe a little bit, just enough instability to bring some light rain. There's going to be quite a bit of dry air, so we might not see too much rain, just some light showers here and there. Pretty isolated in nature before it finally moves out and continue to see some isolated showers. So when I say dry, I mean we're just mostly going to be seeing pretty dry conditions, but it doesn't mean we're not going to be seeing some clouds or even isolated rain. But things are going to be changing once we get later in the weekend, especially as we get into the weekend. Starting Friday, going into Saturday, we're going to start seeing a system develop, start bringing rain here to Northland, especially for areas further to the west. And then a cold front from the system is going to push on down. So it looks like Sunday might be the rainiest of those days. So, and it's going to be pretty substantial rain, not going to just be isolated showers, probably will get more scattered in nature. So finally get more of that rain come back after we've been under a pretty dry pattern. And it's not just going to be rain we're going to be seeing from the system, also a bit of cooler weather. Notice we're going to be now dropping from the 80s, like we're going to be seeing potentially Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, dropping all the way down to the 60s and even upper 50s. But I think the craziest fact of all is because we've been riding so hot over the last few days and continue to do so this week, that even though we're dropping probably 20 degrees or more by the time we get to Monday, again into possibly even the upper 50s, we'll still be a little bit above the seasonal average. That's how hot we have been compared to where we expect to be this time of year. And we'll just go talk about the heat a little bit more as a recap here, because look at that 7-day forecast. Yep, by the lake a little bit cooler today and even tomorrow, but by the time we get later in the week, we'll all be feeling that heat once again, and it is going to feel like the middle of July. And then a system will move through this weekend, bring some rain and bring a little bit cooler weather for next week.